Yeah.
That's good.
Been a while, boss.
Oh, Jimmy's here.
Yeah. Keeping busy, both of us, I think.
I think so.
Yeah.
From the sounds of it.
I don't know my name some days.
We haven't started yet. We're waiting for you. Figured.
Yeah.
So you can't start. Jimmy's not here yet.
It's 7:05, call the meeting to order. First item on the agenda is the approval of October 25th planning board meeting.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the minutes for the October 24th meeting.
I'll second.
John, any discussion? Yeah, all in favor of approving the minutes?
Aye.
Anybody opposed?
One abstain. I wasn't here, so I don't know.
Okay. The next item on the agenda is 57 Court Street, lawn farm seeker, and along with that, a historic site review. Request to replace 2 windows and siding on the west wall. Applicant, Winslow Ledoux. And it is. Take the podium, please.
I beg your pardon?
Have the podium. Tell us what you do. Tell us a little history lesson first.
How far back you want to go?
Right back, you start doing work.
Well, I probably first started working out was in high school, and my dad owned the building. But that's far beyond what you folks want to learn about today. I've owned 57 Court Street primarily since my dad's passing in 2004. And since that time, I've done what needs to be done to keep things suitable for our tenants. This year, it became apparent that one of the windows that my dad had replaced the siding and had put new windows on the building. But like most things he did, they were the least costly solution to a complex problem. And in this case, we had, I think, what's referred to as masonite siding, which is a 1/2-inch thick fiberboard, 12 inches high. It comes in 16-foot lengths. And the windows were double pane, but they were at the bottom end of the spectrum of what you might pick to put in the house. I don't know what year he did it. You folks may, it may be in the record, but I don't remember.
What
But
year was the siding done?
same year, I just don't remember. It was 10, 20 years?
2000s or 1900s?
I don't know, I'm not, I honestly don't know. I don't have a way of getting that. I live in Vermont, and I don't come over here all that often, so it has to do with, my keeping track of what Dad did. It was his place of business at the time, so he did as he pleased. It became apparent this year that the siding was rotted, some of it fell off, and that bothered me, so I stuck it back up and looked into how to replace siding. And one of the windows got so much rot in it, you could stick your finger through it. And so I needed to do siding, and I needed to replace windows, so I had to learn how to do that. So I asked my brother to give me a hand, and I went to Curtis Lumber, and I brought information about my recollection about what was on the building, and they sold the masonite, so I could buy the exact stuff that was on the building, and they had similar replacement windows. So I ordered 2 windows, I ordered the replacement, I thought I was doing a repair to the building, and much like painting, it was just fixing something rotted and fixed it. And when I had the window out to put the new one in, I was informed by the building inspector that I needed a permit to do this. And I turned to him and said, "Can I fill the hole in the building?" And he said, "Of course you can fill a hole." So then at later conversation with the building inspector's department, I learned that I could do the work necessary to prevent water damage to the building. And there's, as with many old buildings, there's a whole host of challenges in this one. And so I put the windows in and I put the siding up so that I could prevent the water from getting back in around it. So that's what I did, and I filled out the form I met with the building inspector's office. They gave me the form, I filled it out, I sent it in draft, they commented on it, and I fixed the things that I didn't understand, and sent it back, and that's what you have today. Without knowing your standards and criteria, what I tried to do, I wanted to replace it exactly the way it was. And so I bought the same material, I got the windows as close as I could get, when we framed them up, we made them identical. So we tried to make the building look just like it was before. And so what we did in the front of the building looks just like the ones around the side, if you look at them. And, like all projects, once you take things off and begin looking at it, there's always a little more than you expect. And it took a little longer, but you're looking at the chief carpenter, the building owner, and I did the best I could to keep a building safe. I'd like to be proud of the building, so they're trying to paint it and do things to keep it in good shape. And I don't recall when or how or being informed that there was a need for this, or else I would have come and asked. But that's where I am. That's what I did. I haven't painted the trim around it because I used the same material that was there before, and I've been told that I need to let it dry out for 6 months or so before it'll hold paint. And the previous trim didn't hold paint very well, so I'd like to do a little better job this time.
So all the prior renovation was done by your father?
Well, he hired someone to do it, yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
it's technically,
Yeah,
he did all the siding.
yeah,
And the windows on the second floor.
yeah,
And these are the only two that you can replace since you owned it.
right.
Do we have any questions?
So you're saying the windows that were rotted that you took out were vinyl windows?
Well, they're part vinyl, I had part wood. It was I was actually working on their day weatherizing them because
Yeah.
on the second floor, they're not as good as you'd hope they'd be. Yes, and when I went to buy the same windows, I couldn't buy them. I went to Curtis and said, this is what I have, can you give me what I had before? And they said, well, this is as close as we can come. So I bought those.
So you're aware now that what
Yeah.
we're looking at here is that in '79, when this went on the register, it looks materially different. Have you actually seen this image?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah. Yeah.
I agree, it does. It's before he put the siding on.
And of course, the idea is any change to the building is supposed to come in front of the planning board, but it's too late now to scold Bill for not having done that, okay? And I can remember going to see him being sick in like 1980, 82 maybe, and going to the building, and it looks like, in 82, it looks like it does now.
Oh, okay.
So
Well,
that
there's
gives
a
you
date.
somewhere between 79 and 82 or 83,
All right,
it became what it is now.
yeah.
And we can't vote on this right tonight because we can't do a seeker tonight, right? Do we-
No, that's not the case, no.
Do we have a SHPO?
No,
don't- we
but
didn't
they're
need to?
also not an involved
Okay,
agency.
not an involved agency, okay. So we kind of, we're torn because it's so bad compared to what it looked like when it went on the register.
Oh,
But-
you mean the brick compared to the,
The brick and the, just the little tiny cornice window and the, everything about the shape of the building and the way it presents from the street. And now it's kind of blank, with the little enclosed porch in the front. And again, I realize you didn't do all those things. And we can't make you return it to what it is or was back then. But we also probably have a duty to at least make sure the windows are not more vinyl, okay, than they were before.
and forgive me, because I don't appreciate this as well as you do, but one thing I do know a little bit about is restoring boats. And I've restored a number of wooden boats, and I can make, with the proper time and care, I can make the side of wooden hull look just like a fiberglass boat. And so, for my 2 cents, if you had a wooden frame window and did perfect work on it, it looked like, it'd appear from the street to be the same as vinyl. As terms of its shine and the texture of it. Now granted, many times you have ornate wooden molding with wooden things, but that wasn't what Dad bought. It was pretty cut and dry, pretty low ball materials. And so I think what I put on looks almost identical to what he had, it's just it's a little more rugged.
So basically what you're saying is once it's painted, it's gonna look like it was before.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's my intent.
We can't beat you up for something that happened in the 70s and 80s, there's no point dwelling at that point.
No, but
So
but
let's-
just, and you're
we
now
got these-
aware,
we got
if you're
these
doing some
windows.
work on this building, you're gonna
Well,
consult with the
well-
building inspector.
Well,
right?
yeah, and I guess I have asked them, but I haven't yet got a really good line in the sand, and forgive me if I'm asking the wrong group about that, but, you know, I trust I can paint it without coming here,
Yeah, luckily, we don't have that kind of design review board, okay?
but I don't know.
So let's just deal with what we have. right
Yeah,
here.
sure.
Allow the windows, or you need to replace these windows. The trim is, what he put on is like, that was done, way back when, in the 70s or 80s, these other windows. So, I mean, now they're gonna see it just, you're matching them up to the building. It's already been, done in the 70s and 80s. And, so let's just move on with this and decide. Am I in agreement? Everybody else got anything to say?
Yeah.
Is you're gonna paint these, the trim white,
Yeah,
yeah, when weather permits, we understand that. Now, you understand, and the work in this building is gonna come, permits, et cetera.
yeah, I just don't know what when we use the word work,
And the exterior of the building.
well, I say, can I paint it?
Painting's okay, you replace an entire window or an entire door, you probably need to get a permit.
Okay, even on the
Say
back?
one of your,
The
yeah,
whole building,
Okay,
yeah.
yeah, a windowsill's rotted and you need to replace just a windowsill, maybe that's a repair, you see? I mean,
that's what I was trying to
big
figure
hole
out.
in the roof, you're gonna need a permit.
So part of the roof's asphalt, part of the roof's slate.
Right.
If I can find a slate guy, I'll keep it slate.
Right.
But if I can't, my roofers all tell me to move it to asphalt. Will you guys let me do that?
That would be a time
Yeah.
and question when
Huh?
the time
You
comes.
gotta come back with another application.
You gotta come back.
Show us samples of what
It's a
you-
roofing
what kind
permit.
of
You
roof
need to
you're
come
gonna put
back.
on. It's another, if it was included in the original permit request, then we'd be looking at both of them.
Well, I'm not gonna do it tomorrow. I mean, I'm just thinking forward.
Plan on coming
You
back.
gotta come back, get the permit, you know, bring samples of, what kind of roofing material you wanna do. You know, whether it's,
You'd wanna bring something that looked like slate, like a slate replacement, but it's a
Yeah.
vinyl material, or
Yeah.
a asphalt material, but a slate look.
Okay.
That's
But
what-
I can have the guy, I can do the slate repair that's there. I can repair the slate that's there.
Yes.
All right.
Yeah.
So I'll do that, yeah.
okay. So, okay, anytime you do anything, if you got questions, call the building inspector's office, they can
Yeah.
set you on the right path, so you don't get beat up later on.
And your first sentence would be, I'm in a historic district. I wanna do this. And then it'll give you an answer. Okay?
So, let's talk about what we got here.
Okay.
We can beat this up all day, like I said, so somebody say something or do something here.
Not me.
So should we make a negative declaration on the seeker? I'll make a motion for a negative declaration on the
Okay,
seeker.
Bill?
Makes sense.
Take it.
Get a second. Any discussion on the seeker? All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed?
Me.
No.
Okay,
What's a seeker, by the way? Just,
that's a historic site review.
State environmental quality review.
Environmental quality,
Big long form you filled out with a bunch of questions that you probably needed help answering.
okay.
Depth of
Okay,
groundwater.
now the review, replace the two windows and siding on the north wall. So, do you want to give me a motion, or you want to keep beating it up?
I'll give you a motion to allow, as presented, to replace rotten windows, replaced with same type, and siding, same type, kind and color, as presented.
Second. Darren, you seconding that? Okay, Darren seconded. Any more discussion on it?
No.
Okay, that's good. Then, vote all in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed?
Me?
Okay. You're done. Thanks.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, next item on the agenda is, US Avenue South, New York Road, and Glen Falls Bank, storage, site plan review. This is only a sketch plan. No vote will be taken on this. I used to read some variances before you come to, so we'll hear your presentation and what you're gonna do and all that.
Thank you. Forgot my easel, so I'm gonna put this here for now. So yeah, we need a variance from the Zoning Board of Adjustment, and the owner submitted an application, and they weren't able to act on it because the planning board would be the lead agency for seeker, so that needs to be resolved first, and that you're not going to be able to make a decision on that because the SHPO review is not complete, as I understand. So, since the planning board was going to be the lead agency, you needed to have this agenda item anyway. We wanted to take the opportunity to just kind of do a sketch plan review type of thing, a preliminary. So what I'll do is just kind of give an overview of the proposal. We did bring a colorized version today that wasn't in the original packet. But this is a site plan that's been developed by Easy Properties just based on a tax map. So a future submittal to the board is going to include a much more detailed grading plan, site plan, but it's going to, the idea is to follow this general layout. It is it's one of the park lots, it's right adjacent to the new Glens Falls National Bank that's right at the Rotary, on the south side of the Rotary. This is just south of that, so the Glens Falls, Glens Falls site is on the left-hand side of the page that's been provided. It's a 3.77 acre lot, and it's kind of come out that way as a result of a lot of other subdividing that had happened by Park and with the Glens Falls Bank property as well. So that's how it kind of ended up that way. It's in zone RC2, and my understanding is the R2 zoning regulations are what apply to this lot. So what is proposed is two multifamily low-rise apartment units and three townhouses. There are two three-bedroom townhouses here and a two-bedroom townhouses on that side. And then these two garage structures are associated with the three-bedroom townhouses. The existing site, in your packet you have just an existing condition survey that identifies a number of easements and utilities that crisscross the site now. For instance, coming from the Glens Falls Bank property in that direction, there's old stormwater infrastructure that used to carry a lot of the drainage from the shopping center across the street there to the north. But a lot of that's been diverted. We're still working on getting some more details on the Route 9 project so that we can better understand exactly what the infrastructure is here, but we've got a pretty good idea of what we need to do. So the plan is to, there's a pipe that carries stormwater that discharges on the site to a ditch, and then the ditch just flows off the site to the south. So the plan will be we might have to relocate that and put it underground, and then one of the other aspects that we need to resolve at this point is the stormwater. And so we're gonna have to determine treatment for the stormwater that's generated from the new site. Let's see, also, as far as utilities goes, there's an existing water line that comes in off of Route 9 here. There's an old meter house that's essentially abandoned. And then that connects into a loop that served the old hospital. And we're still evaluating what of that infrastructure needs to remain. But I think the preliminary determination is that most of it can be abandoned, but there might be one connection, I guess, that needs to be maintained.
Or Maryland, yeah.
Okay. Maryland. And as far as sewer goes, there is no sewer infrastructure along Route 9 that can be accessed for a connection. It's a force main or lift, or however you want to describe it, that we can't really tap into. So the plan at this point is the owners have negotiated an easement with on the property to the north there to tap into a sewer manhole that is on New York Avenue. And so that's what's going to happen there. So you'll see on the next round of plans here, pump station probably somewhere around this corner for the sewage pump to pump the sewage off the site into that manhole. As was mentioned, there is the need for variance on this that the zoning board will be looking at, and they are for 3 items: the number of principal buildings, the number of accessory structures, and the number of apartment units. The reason is that there are 48 units total in this plan, and really what the way to approach this is to do it as a planned unit development, but it's too small for that. It's not a 5-acre parcel, so that's not an option. And so we'll be seeking that variance kind of based on that approach. We'll make that argument before the zoning board, as that application was submitted already, but they can't act on it until we get the seeker finalized. Pretty much all the other setbacks and density requirements are compliant with this general layout. It is not in the historic district, but it's adjacent to a historic site, which I understand is the cemetery across the road. So that'll be taken into consideration when the fine details of the building designs come out. There were some pretty basic elevation drawings provided in the packet, but we recognize that they're really basic. And that there's a bit of detail that needs to be provided, and that will happen with the next submittal to the board. But other than that, it's a really excellent location for residential development. There's pedestrian access to a lot of services and recreational opportunities. So we think it's a pretty good site for that. There's already a sidewalk across the front there, and I think that's pretty much all I had for the presentation. We'd like to take this opportunity, if there are any preliminary comments, thoughts, or ideas, we'd like to receive them so that we can take that into consideration for the final submittal.
I'll start. Your site plan, you call it basic, and candidly, I call it boring. The architecture is just pretty much more the same. And as you said, this is the entrance window to the base area. And it's not in the historic area, but adjacent to it. I'd like to see a little more reflection of what's happening on the base, and more reflective of the history of the area. The other thing is, I note that your coverage areas are within hundreds of allowable, which of course is legal. But I'd like to see the open space as open space. Right now you have strips of green, and your middle area, just offhand, it seemed like if you slavered two central buildings, both more the north and south, and open that up to a little more area. You could make that some sort of a quiet recreation.
Excuse me.
We'd already discussed that the two drainage basins or whatever in the back corners, I'd like to see some detail on that as to what you have for recreation.
Right, yeah, so,
On-site use.
yeah, I guess I might not have mentioned that in this meeting, but it says in here recreational / stormwater. We recognize that we've got to come up with the stormwater treatment somehow. And once we figure out how we're going to do that, we'll better know how the areas can be designed for recreational use.
Right.
And that comment about the center is duly noted.
Yeah, and it concerned me on a drive-by basis, you're gonna just see 5 detached buildings as you drive by, and I'd like to see something from a landscape architecture to soften that very seriously. But one of the complaints I've had before is parking in the front, and you did not do that. I like the way you spread the parking.
You show 94 parking spaces, right? That includes a garage.
Right.
Okay, and required is 87?
Yeah, I believe so.
I hear your
Yep.
thing. Okay. And how many of those are visitor spots? If I want to visit somebody there, where do I park?
Sure, yeah. Well, there's 48 units, a mixture of 1, 2, and 3 bedroom, and to be honest with you, like similarly with the number of handicap spaces, this is kind of a preliminary flush from the what the owner has first put out there. But I think that we'll have a much more detailed evaluation of the parking and how it complies and exactly in what way next time around. So I don't know exactly how many are coming for visitors unless you guys have considered that.
I don't think that it has been truly considered. How
Yeah,
many
yeah.
spots are there?
Right, I mean, you go to set square, there may be 4 or 5 spaces that it once says visitor, and there's a whole bunch more. And if I'm gonna visit somebody, I can't park in the fire lane, so.
So, yeah, I mean, one possible solution was to look at this to identify, which spots are designated for the residents and, leave aside specific sites that are designated for visitors.
On the visitor subject matter, you're gonna have a lighting plan,
Yes.
correct? A vegetation, kind of like the landscape architecture plan is in terms of the plantings.
Correct, yep.
And along with your drainage and utility plan. One question I want to ask is these look pretty laid out. What do you have for apartment storage? What's the plan of attack for that? Because
So
you hate
there-
to see this right at the headworks of the entrance to the base and right on, scenic Route 9 and see a bunch of tricycles and balls and stuff hanging out outside. I think storage space is going to be critical for
Okay.
this,
Yeah, we'll need to address that.
On the garages, the bottom garage, right now, it looks like the back of that garage is gonna be facing 2 apartments. Maybe that garage could get dropped down so that the apartments aren't, the bottom one. That one, yeah, it looks like you're gonna have 2 is that 2 apartments or is that 4
These are the
apartments?
2-bedroom, these are,
There's
16 units here, so there's one
So there's-
downstairs and one upstairs.
Right, so there's 2 apartments there, they're gonna be facing the back of a garage, maybe that can slide down. The dumpster locations, take in consideration, the way they usually work is the truck will drive right up and straight into the dumpster and flip it on top of it, and where you have them right now, that's not a good spot. They could be,
Corner.
at the bottom corner,
Right,
could be there if they drive around the other way.
Yep.
If they drive around the other way there, it could be in the bottom corner there and on to the right-hand side of that corner.
sure.
So they could just drive straight. You see what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
So you drive straight, you dump it, then you back up, you drive straight, and you run into it again, dump it. Obviously with the proper shielding and places for bikes to be parked. They're out of the way, like bike stanchions,
Sure.
stuff like that. Maybe some benches, some seating areas.
Yeah. And keep in mind, these are probably, I'm gonna guess, gonna be family units. So there'll be a whole age.
I would expect so. I mean, just given
So
the,
when we're talking about the open spaces and
Mhm.
the things like that, it's, when people live there, where do they do their everyday playing?
Mhm.
Things like that.
okay,
So
Three-bedroom apartments, you're gonna have a couple bikes there,
yeah.
kids,
or more. Possibly maybe a outside play area, like a basketball area or something like that, or maybe a covering area so you can do something underneath the
Mhm.
covered area.
and all finishings as well for the building. I mean, I know these are rough sketches,
Yeah,
but as far as, you know, is it vinyl, is it cement board? Are you using two different materials, you know, like a stone bottom and a clapboard top?
And colors.
Yep.
Especially coming into the
Colors.
city in that area.
right.
Yeah.
If you take a look at the Kennedy project over there, they've used
Oh,
different
right.
textures and colors. And,
Sure.
you know, just to keep that first impression of coming into the city,
Mhm.
one of that's, you know, inviting.
We were hoping to do that and use, because it's adjacent to the cemetery and the Valpo Brewing,
Mhm.
to maybe go with that more of a color scheme because it's, and some of the products that we already looked at have that Adirondack stone
Right.
facade.
Things like that really set it apart and make it look like it flows right in with the community.
Yeah, we would like to do that.
Right down to the supports or columns, if you have them for your porches or decks or things like that too. You know, they do make fairly inexpensive, fancy
Right,
posts
right.
that they might not be as cheap as a 6x6, but they're not much more expensive, so.
Yeah, agreed.
The idea of parallel parking in front of the townhouses,
Mhm.
the two, was that to achieve a certain design layout? Or was it to just achieve the, just to
Parking
get the
spots.
parking spots?
I think, again,
He stole the idea from Club Road,
Okay,
there you go.
okay, I wasn't sure.
Thank you.
and it works really well there. We have the garages and we have parallel parking there.
Okay,
And people like to be able to pull up in front of their door. And
okay.
then they also can use their garage, or they do both.
Given the choice, you'd just soon park in their living room. Easier for them.
Did you look at putting your garages attached on the end of that 16 two-bedroom unit? That way they wouldn't be floating, the two garages, buildings, just slide them around.
So these two to have them so that they're.
No, on the end of the bigger building,
Oh,
they're about
okay.
the same length.
Okay.
And doesn't seem like you'd add more asphalt. You could slide the parking stalls around where the garages are.
I think those garages are for those three bedrooms though.
I know,
Yeah.
it puts them further away from the three-bedroom units, but
So your point
it
is
keeps them from floating out by themselves.
to join it to
Right.
the adjacent structure here, or maybe
Right.
look at if it can be attached to the.
And take away the windows from the
Townhouses.
apartments. You would take away the windows from the apartments though, too.
Side windows, yeah.
The bottom
Yeah,
there.
you would. It's just an idea.
Okay.
Scratch it.
You don't have to have garages necessarily, but it's a nice feature when you're going into a three-bedroom.
With a garage.
Well, and it can help address the storage question for these units at least.
Bicycles and all kinds of
Part
stuff.
of it, yeah.
Yeah.
I assume the garages go to whoever wants to rent them though. Someone in the
Well,
apartment
they're
wants a
only gonna
garage.
go to the three bedrooms.
Oh, only
They'll
three
just be
bed.
included.
Oh, they're
Instead of like that Tall Pines, they did it where they were extra. We don't plan on doing that. We're just gonna plan on renting them with the three bedrooms.
Tall Pines, that's the one
It's a
behind
one
you.
package.
It's like the one, Hill's Act.
Kennedy.
Oh, Kennedy.
Kennedy
'Cause-
used their extra.
I was gonna say, in the Hills Act
Yeah.
properties,
Yeah,
the one behind this, to the.
his are
west.
rented.
No, Hillsack is,
Yeah.
oh, the one that's not built yet.
No,
Yeah.
not built yet, those were rented.
But he also provided a lot more. So I think he had like 48 garages for 96 units
Yeah.
instead of 8 for 48. So.
We thought about doing more, but then it takes away from the apartments and really from a property management standpoint, having to rent them is really more work into it.
Oh, I know.
It's a separate part of the software program. Keeping track of things.
Mhm.
So when you come back, you show traffic flow, everything in here, pedestrian circulation.
We might tweak we might tweak this entrance a little bit, just to make sure larger vehicles can manage that, but, generally speaking, this entrance is right where that meter is now, and I think it's 250 feet or so from the bank driveway.
Yeah. Do you need fire approval for a single entrance like that?
Good
We'll
question.
definitely get the comment from the fire chief.
So basically, quality of living, that's the type of stuff we're looking for, something that's gonna be nice, something that's gonna look good, something that's gonna feel good when people move in. You know, I'm a landlord, you want people to stay, feel comfortable, enjoy where they're living, not say, oh, there's no place to put my bike and my canoe and my this and my that. You know, a place where people move in, they stay, they enjoy living there. Maybe some type of, I know you're on the wrong side of the street, but maybe they can put painted lines over to across the street and make a cut there to get to the bike trail, or, you know, little stuff like that, stuff that makes it nice for people to, you know, outside and living and that type of stuff, you know.
Sure. Yeah, no, that's all great feedback, and, you know, obviously, I'm here on the engineering side. You know, I'm gonna deal with the pipes and the stormwater and all that, but these guys have a lot of experience with these types of properties.
I know Steve's familiar with it, but when you go on Fort Brown Drive, in the 3 apartment buildings that are in the middle of the street, and there's bicycles and tricycles hanging off the porches and stuff, it just doesn't look good. You know, it really
We'll have to
takes
look at
away from the neighborhood.
Grading some of this too, because like at Gregory Heights, we were able to put all those storages underneath. And we put a bike rack out as well, nobody's ever used it. But they use those, some people
The
use them,
storage,
people
yeah.
don't, as you know.
Like a 6x8 storage unit type of thing? Yeah, those always get used.
We didn't really talk about grading. Right now, the site drops off a bit right from the road, and then it's pretty flat, but it's low.
Great.
The plan is to bring the site up a bit. We kind of need that because we need the vertical space. But it will also, when you're filling the site, it gives you a bit more flexibility in, you know, what you can do with things like
Especially
that.
drainage and things too.
Right.
So.
Right.
So you go to the post office and we're gonna locate the mailboxes on the drawing.
Yep.
These are all rental units? Very rental units?
Anybody else have any other questions?
The angle of the buildings, was that to achieve, is that to achieve that calculation in the building, in the zoning ordinance?
Distance between buildings, you mean?
Yeah, where you remember in Hillsack Properties, we ended up with 2 buildings that were sort of oriented that way to meet distances.
I honestly don't know, but it seems to me that these buildings are parallel to this line, and these buildings are parallel to that line. I don't think there was, I mean, the separation between buildings is provided dimensionally on here, but
It looks to be the shape of the lot.
yeah, I don't think it was to achieve a certain separation necessarily.
Okay, do you remember that? There was that?
I do
Something
remember
they run into
that.
that with Hillside.
Was that where they were missing the separation distance and it had to be?
Right.
The corners were close.
Right. Have you looked at the minimum separation requirements? And if not, maybe between now and the next one?
Yeah, absolutely. I want to
Okay.
review that because that's one thing that I didn't come across in the code. But so we're talking about minimum separation between buildings all on one lot together.
Right.
Right.
Okay.
What are the 3 variances you need to have?
The number of principal buildings, the number of accessory structures, and the number of apartment units. Because it's exceeding 24 units on the site, which is one of the limiting factors. The number of principal buildings is now 5, And the accessory structure, number of accessory structures is now 2. So those are the 3.
You're allowed to have 2 accessory structures.
2, correct.
2, and they have 2, so why
Oh.
would they need a variance?
They have,
2. I'm looking at 2 garages. Was there another garage that disappeared?
No, it's just 2 garages.
oh, you're allowed 2, but only 1 can be a garage.
Okay,
Thank you.
so it's a, sort of a use. Well, numerical, somewhere in there, numerical number of garages.
Sorry?
Yeah.
As opposed to number of accessory structures.
That'll be underground. Yeah, the pump station won't be a structure.
No, it's gonna be gone, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Anything else? Anybody? Okay.
So what action are we supposed to do?
None?
None?
Don't we have to take action for lead agency?
We already did.
We already did that?
We did that, yes.
We accepted it in advance, remember? We said, we had a motion that if they decided to ask us, we would accept.
So if I could ask a question, so we should be all set for zoning board now, since the planning board has accepted lead agency, correct? Or do we have to
Well-
wait for the
Determination.
seeker?
You have to wait for secret determination.
Okay. But
So-
not another decision by the board, the planning board?
Just the secret determination.
Okay, so that could happen in,
It could happen it should happen at the next planning board meeting.
at the next planning board meeting, okay. And that's when we'll be able to do the variance, and then we'll be back to you as soon as possible after that with our final proposal.
Okay.
Do we, in terms of approvals, do we have any other questions in terms of involved agencies or permitting agencies for seeker? Is it all pretty clear? So building permit, variance,
Stormwater.
stormwater,
Shipple.
SHPO? Is SHPO because of it's adjacent?
Yes.
2, yeah,
O
across the
has
street.
been included as an involved agency.
Okay.
One action.
Is that submittal been
Fire department.
made already?
Yes, I submitted.
Yeah, some of the preliminary calculations were put on the seeker, but
Mhm.
obviously the stormwater detail hasn't been figured out yet.
Do they review architectural and is that
I
their?
gave them what you see, basically, more or less. So they could, as you know, they could request more information, which would reset the 30-day clock or not. It's close to 30 days now. I think it's been 20-something days. But I gave them everything I had.
I mean, for a project of this size, I would recommend that the applicant reach out to SHPO. I think they have that ability, even though the city submitted it.
Well, it's already been submitted, so.
Oh, I understand that, but an effort that we don't get hung up in seeker for some reason because.
Hung up in SHPO land.
Yeah, that's a good suggestion. I think that we should probably do that.
I don't know what that is, but Ed has that.
Yeah, if I can email Kevin with a request for the contact information, that would be great.
Now it goes to the Chris system.
Okay,
So you don't know
You don't.
who the contact is until you get some feedback and somebody's assigned to it. I'm guessing it might be Lori Clank.
right, okay.
It's probably my best guess. I would try calling her and see if she's the one doing it.
I'll start with that.
Yeah, start with her. She could probably point you maybe to, if not her, then just tell you who it is.
Okay,
Yeah, but I don't know because
That's
it's
fine.
a Chris database
Right.
system where you input
Right.
it that way until you get the rule, a notification.
The other question I would have is, and Kevin, maybe we can, the drainage that goes through that property, is that the city's
Yes.
drainage path all the way through, including the ditch line?
Yes, yeah, Jim's familiar because he did the design for the
Mhm.
Glens Falls next door. And the overflow combines with the drainage from New York Road. And this team is familiar with that too. So they're gonna be preserving that ditch or
Okay.
probably changing it to closed pipe, I think, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's right here right now.
so roughly, so it would be underground.
In some of those, that, one of those storm lines can be abandoned. If you recall, you abandoned one at the bank that was closer towards Route 9. And that can be continued, that abandonment. Whereas others, like the one you just mentioned, cannot be abandoned. That
Right.
has to be preserved, kept flowing.
In all likelihood, the stormwater from the site, if any excess, is gonna end up going that same path.
And there's actually a
lowest
third
point.
one that we're trying to investigate that comes from over more towards the old base hospital area. It's got at least one base on it, maybe more. We think that one can maybe be abandoned too, and Public Works is gonna do some dye testing to try to figure out exactly what is going on upstream before we say for sure. So we're looking into that.
Anything else? Jim, see you next time.
Thanks for your time.
Thank you.
Motion.
Motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Mercy, you didn't oppose this time. Come on.